Welcome back to our last item on the list, emails. Now, if you're applying directly via a company's website or through a job board, please stop. Well, all right, don't actually stop, but realize it's not the best way. It's what everybody else does. There's a study that was published by a company called Impact Group, and they looked at some of the job applications and did some statistics around those numbers. And they found that close to 30% of hires made by organizations actually came from referrals. So that is employees referring their friends or somebody that they know to the company. It was the number one way of companies to hire other people. And again, part of this study also discovered that 46% of men and 39% of women actually find their jobs, most of their jobs, through networking. The interesting thing is that the higher your salary, the more effective networking becomes and getting a referral. For most companies, the best way to get an interview is not only through online job boards, but the best way to get an interview is through referrals. But lucky for you, this doesn't have to be an actual friend or a coworker. Usually you can message people within a company using some of the tools that I'm going to show you. All right, let's get started and show you the first example. All right. Well, the most obvious way is to actually apply to companies where your friends and colleagues can refer you. But maybe that's not the case for everybody, and that's kind of rare. As I've shown you in the LinkedIn video, there are ways for you to actually connect with employees through LinkedIn and message them based on who you're connected with. And you can usually send them a polite or smart email. And this is an example template that I'll share with you that a user, Patrick McKenzie on Hacker News, shared. And it's a really, really good piece of text. I'm not going to read it out for you, but you can see over here a short email to get yourself a referral, or at least talk to some of the developers of the company or some of the key players that might get you an interview. But again, how can we solve this problem of finding the people to contact? Well, the one way to do this is using LinkedIn. Like I showed you, I can see what jobs, let's say Netflix is hiring for. I can see some of their employees here. I can see that I have some connections here from my school. So that's an easy way, but what if you're not able to use LinkedIn or able to find these connections? There's some great tools that you can use to find, in this day and age, pretty much anybody's email. And I'll link to this after this lesson, but you have a lot of plugins, such as this one over here that finds emails of LinkedIn profiles. You have Hunter over here that you go on a website and it shows you what emails are associated with the website, and other tools like Email Extractor. Using that, you can target somebody that might be a gatekeeper. That is, somebody that can make the decision to interview you or not interview you, or can refer you to somebody that has that decision. Because nothing beats getting a referral from someone. And the other beauty is that most big companies have incentives for employees who refer someone. So they may actually be willing to help you. What do I mean by that? For example, my past company, if you were able to refer a developer, you got an extra bonus on that month's salary because they're always looking for good employees. And they know that referrals usually turn out to be better candidates than somebody that just applies randomly online. By contacting some of the people that might be able to refer you, they actually may be interested as well because they might get a bonus from the company for referring somebody that they're going to hire and thus improve the company. Keep in mind that you don't have to just do this online. You can meet people at meetups that you might have locally, or even hackathons where you can meet people in real life and ask them if the company they work for is hiring. There's just so many ways to do it, and be smart about it. Again, nothing beats getting a referral from someone than just blindly sending out a resume. But let's go back to the slides. The methods we just discussed for emailing and getting referrals are pretty basic. So let's get creative. Instead of sending your resume, I usually email a company I'm interested in And again, you can use some of the free tools that I showed you, such as Email Hunter. And instead of sending a resume, instead send them a personal website that you have, a portfolio, why you want to work for that company, and ask them if you can come by for an interview. Just ask them outright. You can send this message to the head HR or human resources person or somebody on the development team. Another way, or even more creative way, well, message lead developers or CTOs, somebody in charge of the developers or engineers at the company, that you're interested in working for them. And let them know that you're interested in getting where they are professionally. Ask them to take them for coffee or lunch, or ask them if you can come by to the office to chat with them about their careers so you can learn from them. People love talking about themselves, and if you're not outright asking for a job, instead you just want to pick their brain or learn from them, you might be surprised how often you'd get the, yes, come by and let's have coffee. The key here is to just not ask them for a job. And at the end of meeting them, perhaps inquire if they have anybody that they recommend you speak to. If they're not looking to hire, they'll direct you to someone else. And then finally, another way that I like reaching out is to perhaps message CEOs directly or president of a company. And this is something that works with smaller companies. Big, large companies, this most likely won't work. But if you message the CEO of a startup and ask perhaps what technical problems they're having, tell them what technologies you're an expert in, and ask to solve a real-life problem that they have free of charge, they can keep the work, and in return, all you ask for is an interview. I mean, they might take you up on it because, hey, why not? I remember one time when I was a little younger, I messaged the CEO of a really big travel company saying that the book that they wrote really inspired me and that I'm starting my own travel company. And the CEO and I actually had a meeting and we spoke for about 2 hours discussing whether I should join his company or not. And I never asked him for a job. It was just something that I sent out. Again, doing things that most people wouldn't do. But at the end of the day, the point of this is to not necessarily send out mass amounts of resume. Select the jobs that you want, personalize your emails, and try to avoid sending a resume if you can. Try to bypass formalities of the application process by trying to get an interview right away. Most likely during the interview, they will ask you for a resume, but by that point, it doesn't really matter. You've already gotten what you wanted, the interview. By the way, you may have noticed that this is what cover letters should be. An email to introduce yourself. Cover letters should actually be just directed at someone and personalized. So don't bother creating a generic one. They're just simply emails to reach out to somebody, to get referrals, to get that interview. Just write an email or any way to get connected to show how you can help solve their problems. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.